everyone, it's Claire from the Planning Guide. Today we're doing a quick recap of our latest trip to Disneyland Paris and exploring the question, is Disneyland Paris worth it during COVID-19 times? So France have very different rules and regulations to COVID-19, more than the UK do at the minute. So we're going to explore all of that and what is it like now compared to what it was like pre-COVID-19. So let's jump into the video together. The first thing to consider is the cost. It is definitely more expensive to go to Disney right now than it used to be pre-COVID-19. You can't get the package deals, the free half board, free full board like you used to. There always used to be deals for Disney, and now it's much harder to get those deals in. So cost is definitely a factor. The next factor I think everyone should consider is this a once in a lifetime trip? Or is this something that you're going to do and maybe do again in the following year or in a couple of years to come? If it was a once in a lifetime trip, my absolute advice before we go any further is maybe you want to wait just a little bit longer. I say that because things are creeping back into the parks every so often, and it might just be worth waiting a little bit more if it's just one trip. If it's not and you're planning on going more than once, then it is still definitely worth it, but there are some things that are different and I want to explore those with you. So the first thing is character meets. So if you're used to going up and getting a nice big hug from a character, having that interaction with them, it's not quite the same, but it is still really good. So the characters are excellent at body language communication, even from about a meter that they are. The only one that was a little bit too far that I thought it was difficult to interact was Winnie the Pooh. So the Winnie the Pooh meet is at the top of Liberty Arcade right by Frontierland, and they actually have him up on the plinth it's a good sort of 3 meters higher than where you are stood. So that one is a bit trickier. So in 2022, you've got people from 2020 and 2021 having their holidays in 22, which means you've got potentially 3 lots of people within 1 year. It is still very doable, but what that means for the shows is capacity can be difficult. Now, the theatres in Disneyland Paris hold a lot of people, between 500 and 700, depending on what show. So they can still get a lot of people in, but some people are finding that they're not making the shows. At the minute, in peak times like school holidays, you are going to need about an hour to queue up. When it's not school holidays, it's nothing like that. You're looking at about 20-25 minutes, and the majority of that time is actually loading into the theatre. So Disney will open it, say for an 11 o'clock show, at 22 to get everybody in so the show can start on time. So shows plenty on, just be careful on what times you're going in. So we've spoken about characters, we've spoken about shows. Next for me would be restaurant capacity and where you can eat. There are a lot of places now open in Disney. There are not that many closed restaurants. Character dining, not open quite yet, but it is imminent within the next few weeks. Now, they are going to follow the American version of character dining, which is where they will not come to your table, but they will come to an area near your table and you will interact with them in that way. From watching the videos that we've got in America, because obviously we haven't seen what Paris are exactly going to do, that still looks really entertaining, but it is a little bit of a lottery as to where your table is, as to what view you would have. I would say, again, if this is a once in a lifetime thing, then yes, character dining, I would get it done. But if maybe you've got enough money to do a trip now and you were going to do one at a later date, but only enough money to do one lot of character dining in those holidays, I would wait for a later holiday when it's back to how it used to be. Okay, next up is the hotels themselves. How does that feel during this time? Well, again, because you're having to wear your mask around all the hotel, it feels very safe, and we saw lots of cleaning teams moving around the buildings, making sure all the high contact surface areas were cleaned during the day and evening as well, which was great. Check-in, pretty much the same as pre-COVID. There wasn't anything I noticed that was very much different. The only thing I would say is Disney lost a lot of staff for varying reasons over the last 2 years. Some were cuts that they had to make, and some were people moving away from the tourism industry because of the lack of security, which I totally understand. But what that means is Disney are in the middle of doing a lot of training of new cast members. And we noticed that. So at the majority of areas we went, we saw people who were learning. And what that means is you need to be gentle with them. That if you're a Disney pro and you've been lots of times, you might know more than they do. Just be gentle. It's like all of us when we start a new job, there's lots to learn. So some things were just a little bit slower because somebody was learning. It's not a bad thing at all. It's a good thing. Thank you, Disney, for getting more people in employment. And actually, when we were there, we were chatting with cast members in the gift shop in Sequoia Lodge, who I've never been more welcome as an English person in a foreign country. 40% of the guest capacity at Disneyland Paris are us Brits. And the staff were very worried about COVID-19, and then they were very worried about Brexit and what that might impact on everything Disney and us going there. So when they heard Brits are coming back a bit more in force, it's really pleasing for them, and they're just giving you such a super welcome at the minute. Later on, I was speaking with a cast member at a meet, and she said there really has been a change in the type of people that are coming to Disney, and they love it when they get the families that are so into Disney coming back, because it makes their job even more enjoyable than people purely just going for photos or moments. And that was really nice as well, and you could see that when they were having those interactions. That was really nice as well. Let's talk ride times. So actually, with no fast pass tickets, and in Paris this used to be where you would go to the ride and select a time and you get a little paper ticket and go back. Those are gone. If you want that sort of option, you have to pay for it now. I didn't do this. I didn't think it was needed. The only ride we didn't go on was Crush's Coaster. If you're going to do Crush's Coaster, there is only one way to do it, and you're not really supposed to do it because it involves running, and Disney don't want you running. A lot of people ignore that and run, and if you're not there within the first 10 minutes of Magic Hour opening, you're not going to get a shorter queue than 60 minutes. And that is basically the fact. It's a whole combination of things: how Crush is loaded, how long the ride is, the safety requirements for it, the way the line is set out, everything about that ride makes it a difficult one for the cast members to work with guests on. Therefore, it adds to the time, and at the minute, everyone still wants it. What I would say the next popular ride in studios is Ratatouille, and actually that's getting some pretty good times. I remember a few years ago, pre-COVID, you wouldn't get anywhere near Ratatouille under an hour. It was always an hour and 10, an hour and 20, but that is now really quite doable at most times. I'd still rope drop it. And I would advise doing that over Crush's Coaster. Crush's Coaster is a great ride, yes. Would I stand in line 2 hours for it? No, I wouldn't. There's plenty of other things to do in studios for 2 hours. We noticed lots of the other rides in the Disneyland main park had queue times of 5, 10, 15 minutes for nice portions of the day, but the busy times between 12 and 5 are always your key times, where pretty much no matter what land you're going to go to, you're going to queue for quite a bit in rides. And that's where I say be scheduling in other things. That's when you do your shows. Maybe that's when you do your meet and greets. Don't be on the rides during that time. What I would also say about spots that we used to go to for parades or different things, again, still very doable. COVID-19 hasn't changed that. They haven't restricted areas where you're allowed to stand or anything like that. So that was really good as well. Okay, let's talk getting into the park and security. How different is that from pre-COVID-19 to right now? So I actually think Disney have got much slicker at this security process. To me, it seemed a quicker process than pre-COVID-19. They have added some different areas into Disney Village security, which means not everyone is coming through that one main area, which has freed it up. So for example, if you're coming from Sequoia Lodge, or you're walking from Cheyenne or Santa Fe or New York, you're coming through one security check-in. If you're coming through Newport Bay, you've pretty much got your own security check-in. And if you're coming from the train station, say you're staying at Val d'Europe or somewhere like that, you're coming in through your own as well, which really helps. Security in the morning doesn't open until 8 o'clock. You can get in the queue before, which is still a good idea if you are trying to do Crush or anything like that. So be there for 8 o'clock. You're going to walk through Disney Village. That is a 7-minute walk. I can tell you that because I did time it several times just to get an average time. And then you're going to get to a holding area. This holding area is a curve. You can actually see it in the pavement where this curve is. You have to stand here, no matter if you're going to studios or if you're going into the main park. So if you go studios, make sure you're stood on the left. If you're going to the park, stand on the right. At 8:15, security let you go through. They ask you to walk. Please walk, don't run. I've seen so many little kids get knocked over in that bit, and it's because that group was rushing too much. It isn't because other people are knocking into them, it's because something's happened within their group. So just take your time. You've got to get there. A power walk, a walk that's quite quick, but you don't need to run, because you're going to get to the next gate and be held there anyway. This is when you're going to need to show your ticket, and if you're going in for Magic Hour, this is your time to hold your Hotel Easy Pass, a little slip of paper that you need. Hold it up as you walk through, otherwise the cast members won't let you get in the line. You're in the line until 8:30. Dead on 8:30, the gates open, you scan your card and you go through, and you're going to head in. At this time, you can go in for your castle photo shoot when there's not that many people around. You can go for your rides and just enjoy the park when it's not so busy. All of that there, no different to pre-COVID-19, other than the extra gates of security that I think are much better. So that's all fine. So what about the overall feeling? COVID-19 has changed so many things in our lives, but what do we think about the magic of Disney from before and now? For me, it was no different. Disney is Disney. I think you make Disney yourself. You add to it what you want to. You plan what you want to. And so I would say if you're worried about there not being as much Disney magic because of COVID-19, please don't worry. It is there in abundance. You've just got to find it. Some things, yes, are a little bit different. You can't hug your characters. They're not doing as many special moments like Family of Honor or things like that, but they have tried to put in other requirements. A few things I wish Disney would wish to reconsider, but I get that it's a difficult thing at the minute. When you're meeting characters in the hotels or any meet that's inside, you're not allowed to take your mask off. I'm not so sure this is needed when there is good distance between you, the photographer. If everyone is a good space, then I think it would be nice to free that up. That would be my main ask of Disney to change. And just alongside that, PhotoPass photographers, there are not as many. I was chatting to a cast member who we knew from about 5 years ago, who used to be a PhotoPass photographer. He's moved on to be a cast member that works near the parade and in guest information. And he said, you know, they really are struggling with photographers at the minute. So some of that I think may well come back once they've recruited and trained people. I don't think this was a conscious Disney decision to lessen the PhotoPass opportunities, because often when you're there getting a meet and greet, for example, there is a little stand where you have to put your PhotoPass card and then the photographer would scan that for you. I frequently saw that there was a stand but no photographer. So it was as if Disney wanted to do it, but they just didn't have the cast members available to do it. So that may well come back as they train people up. So overall, would I recommend going to Disneyland Paris right now? Yes, I would. I think there is still plenty to do, plenty to cram in. And as long as it's not your once in a lifetime holiday, then yes, please go, enjoy it. If it is your once in a lifetime holiday, maybe just wait a little bit. Let's see what things are like as character dining comes back. I think that's a big one. If Disney can sort that out and do it well, I think other things will flow. So I hope that's helped you. Everything from our last trip, like I say, got back yesterday. I've got loads of footage that I want to share with you and tips. My guide that I used for February half term, I used it all week and I'm really proud to say it worked every single day. The only time it didn't work was once when the Lion King show was stopped halfway through, and so I had to adjust my plans because of it. But that is a tip that I cover in planning for Disney. Always have a second plan in your mind so that you're not caught out if something goes wrong and you need to move on to something else. So I was pleased with how that plan worked out. So I'm going to do a plan for people that are going in the May half term, because I think that's going to be quite similar to Feb. Disney put out their timings 12 weeks in advance. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to sort that out for people, and I'll make you a spreadsheet and upload it here on my guide so that it's available for you. Thank you for watching. Please give me a like if you found this video helpful. Please subscribe if you'd like to see other things. If there's something specific that you want to know or about my last holiday over this last week, drop it in the comments bar and I'll make sure that I cover it in all the videos I'm going to do in the next few weeks. But it's lovely to be back, but it was lovely to be back in the magic.